Thank you so much for joining us today. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about parenting children in crisis coming up. Good evening. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Today, I have a special guest. She is the mom of a child in crisis, and she's going to give us a few tips and advice and some suggestions on how to parent youth in crisis. Please help me welcome my guest to the show, Chanel J. You there?
Hi everyone. I'm Chanel J. I am an actress. I am a substitute teacher, and I am a mother. And with being a mother, you're a nurse. You're a psychiatrist, you're a teacher, you're all in one.
Absolutely. Wow. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well,
What?
I have two kids. One is 16 years old, and I have an 8-year-old son whose name is Sincere McCoy. And Sincere McCoy, he's lovely. I just want to say that he's awesome, but we have a lot of challenges that we have to deal with. It's been a lot. Um, it's just been a whole lot with him, and we're just trying to figure out like the diagnosis with him. We've been going to therapy. We've been trying to figure out what's going on. He has a lot of extreme temper tantrums.
And is that how it started? And at what age did you realize that there was something different that you had to manage with him?
Well, he's 8 years old, but I have been going through this since he's 2. And when he was 2 years old, I was trying to tell everyone, like, okay, look, my son is going through stuff. He's having these extreme temper tantrums where he's spitting and just doing a whole lot. And I was telling my mother, everyone, my whole family, and they was just thinking that, I was probably just spoiling him. And I was just like, no, like, look, the way I was raised, was spare the rod, spare the child. Like at 2 years old, I just felt like, okay, he's not listening. And I just thought that, how when they say terrible twos, I'm like,
Absolutely.
okay, this terrible twos, because when my 16-year-old, I didn't really go through that. And with him, it was like, okay, maybe he's just going through these extreme terrible twos. Let me nip this in the butt. Because if you start acting up, I'm going to whoop you behind. But that wasn't working.
And so at that time, you just really thought that it was the terrible twos, just like you said.
Yeah.
But then as time went on and he, I guess, got out of the terrible two stage and he hopped in, let's go straight to like maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah.
What were some of the things that you were noticing?
When I put him in pre-K, again, I was telling everyone, like, okay, look, something's going on. He was going to school. He didn't want to go to school, which is like every normal child. But again,
Right.
his was just more to the extreme where he was kicking things and breaking things, like kicking the wall. Spitting, throwing. He was in strollers, and oh God, this boy broke like at least 5 or 6 strollers, and I'm not exaggerating.
Wow.
Um,
And I
it's
was
been
going to ask you, like, what types of behaviors was he displaying at that time? So I guess
yeah.
all of that terrible twos combined with, his,
Yeah, exactly. Because again, the stream was just like so much, and I didn't want to hurt my own child.
right.
What I started doing was trying to hold him. And because again, you have a child that's like wrecking the place and they just don't know how to really manage their emotions. So what I started doing was holding him, but I realized that when you're holding him, you can't hold him while you're upset because it doesn't really help them. So then I started saying, okay, you know what? When I hold him, I'm an actress, I'm creative. Let me
Right.
start holding him in a calming manner. So I was just like soothe him, like it's okay. But in reality, it was kind of making it worse.
Oh, wow. But did you know at that time that he was suffering from something, or you was just trying to calm him
No.
down because you thought he was just having a tantrum?
I, I thought it was just extremes. I thought it was just like terrible twos going into terrible fours. But I
Yeah.
knew, I think when I really realized is when he, I would say like around four, because I was getting tired. I was getting tired of holding him.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes with him being dysregulated, he would go into like he would stare off into space.
Oh,
Like you know how some kids with autism, they would just be like, it looked like he was in another world.
yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on. So when he was in pre-K, I wound up telling them, and he went to YAI, and they wind up denying him, saying that okay, nothing was wrong, because sincere academically, a lot of things he wasn't really like. When he's good, he's
Yeah.
great. He's the type of child like you would not see off the bat some of the traits
Behavior.
that
Okay.
certain autism children that might have. You're not going to see certain things.
Right.
But when he's dysregulated
Yeah.
and there's a problem going on, his is extreme. It's
Okay.
like there's no calming him down. He's ready to run. He ran into the street. He's ready to, it's like, okay, I'm gonna fight. That's it.
Wow.
Um, so
Yeah.
as a new parent, well, not even a new parent because I have a 16-year-old. As a
Right.
parent,
Right.
you don't really know what to do.
Right, because he has a different behavior. So I guess your eldest child was totally different, and then
Yes,
you
and
have
then
to
another
see.
thing, exactly. You say like what other children? Okay, children are just different.
Right.
Like every child is not the same. It's not going to be like your other child. So then you put that into your mind.
Yeah.
But at 2 years old, he was going through it. But I noticed again, like at four, because I'm like, okay, this is still not going away. Five, and
Uh-huh.
then once we got to kindergarten, because I'm a
Yeah.
substitute teacher, I started telling the other teachers at the school, because I love the school PS 527.
Uh-huh.
And I told the principal, because I work with him, and I'm telling
Right.
him like, look, this my son,
Uh-huh.
he's a lot. So when he got to that school, they
Uh-huh.
started noticing certain things, because when I would bring him to the school again, it would take like literally like 2 hours just to calm him down. Like he would pee on himself. And so when a child is like going through these extreme temperatures, if they're peeing on themselves, something's wrong.
Right.
Most children, they know how to self-regulate, even if it takes at least more than a half an hour is a lot.
Right.
You know,
Right. And then for you to be going through this whole process for 2 hours, and was this like every day?
like every other day.
Wow.
Every other day. So then so basically when he got to kindergarten, I
Uh-huh.
started getting the services because of the school, and
Yeah.
because of, again, I'm telling them they seeing it now. Because
Mm-hmm.
before, no
Yeah.
one was seeing it. Oh, you're just spoiling the child. Oh, this kid is going to be a kid. And
Mm-hmm.
so then you get the help. Then you
Yeah.
start getting services from the school, which is good. And then you try to get outside services because you need that too.
Right.
And
Right.
then you go see a therapist. Then once you go see a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
then you got to explain everything that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only thing with the therapy, they have to look at how the household is kind of managed. They have to speak to the
Mm-hmm.
parent, and they got to see, well, what is the parent doing too?
Right.
So it was hard, because a whole year I'm telling them, like, okay, I'm telling them like, listen, I'm doing this with my child. I
Mm-hmm.
actually went to a workshop with NAMI, that's the National Alliance
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. For
Mental.
mental illness. Yeah.
Yes. So I
Mm-hmm.
went there and I took a workshop, because I'm trying to find out as a parent, what could I do? What's going on? I'm not used to this. So, but with therapy, and then they're looking at you like, okay, well, okay, what's going on with you? Then you find out other things about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you try to change it. He's suffering with anxiety. It's called generalized anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I have anxiety. My
Okay.
mother has anxiety. So it runs in our family, but his is just
Extreme.
like really extreme, and it comes out when things are might not be going his way, but then you have to figure all these things out. Why? What's happening?
Right.
And again,
And
when you go into
then you want to know, is he behaving this way because he's not getting his way?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So then, as a parent, it's hard because you're trying to figure out every way. You don't want to give them their way,
Right.
but when you're speaking to the therapist, they got to say, okay, well, is your anxiety coming out on the child? So then,
Right.
as a parent, I'm changing because I got to make sure. Look, my anxiety is not messing with his because he suffered with that.
Right.
And then they want to know, okay, well, is there something happening in the household?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, is there trauma? Okay, so once you eliminate all that, then they say, okay, well, how are you teaching this child?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are you giving them the reward system? So
Right.
you start applying that, which I did a little bit of that again because I work in the school, so I try to apply some of those things.
Yes.
But you're going to therapy and you're explaining this to the therapist, like, okay, I'm doing this. Like, I'm doing this. This is not something else is still going on. I need you to figure out what's happening.
Right.
The only thing with going to like these different places where you're trying to get help, and if you don't have, I guess it probably if you don't have enough money, I don't know this insurance, but they switched the therapist. So you go through a whole year trying to figure out what's going on, and then they switch the therapist again.
And I
And
see that time and time again because I work in the same field right now, and I do have to, you know, give the clients information about therapy and everything like that. But then you get used to, or your child get used to working with this one person and then opening up. And then, all of a sudden, oh, I'm sorry, now we're switching.
yeah,
And that is a trauma on a child as well as a parent when you're trying to give this information and you're trusting someone and then you got to start all over again. So how
yeah.
do you feel about that?
I went. I think we've had three therapists over the years. Okay, and one therapist. I mean, I came in there crying, and I'm like, listen, when we first was doing, I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on with my child. Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
He's not listening. I did tried everything,
Yeah.
and you get to a point where you feel like, okay, they hear you, but
Right.
then they switch. Then you have another therapist, and you would think that they know everything, but
Right.
you still got to kind of go through the whole thing and try to tell them everything what's been going on. So
Yeah.
you repeat the whole thing, even though they got the notes, and then you don't know how the therapist is going to work. One of the second therapists that I was working with, she was doing things a little different from what the other therapist was doing,
Oh.
and a lot of things I felt like we were clashing. And
Hmm.
I was just saying, and again, when you're new to this, you're not going to really speak up as much.
Yep.
Um, but you also don't want to lose the services.
Right.
So, and I think that she felt that. And she was like, well, if you're not feeling comfortable with me, then maybe we can switch, maybe you could see someone else. And I was just like, no, 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 no. I
Right.
don't
Not
want to
again.
see anyone else. Because
Yeah.
I don't want to be put back on the list. So we
Yeah.
need to
On the
figure
list.
out.
Right.
Yes.
And you know what? I understand what you're saying about when you're new to this whole thing, it's hard to open up and it's hard to keep telling your story about, okay, my child, is this, my household is great. It's hard. And I
Yeah.
don't know if therapists or the people who are providing the therapy
Mhm.
is aware of these problems that the parents and the child face as far as having to keep reliving the same thing over and over again by telling a story.
Yes,
So,
exactly. You
mm-hmm.
again with my second therapist, I went along with everything she was going
Mm-hmm.
and doing and saying, but it was kind of annoying because it was just like, okay, look, I'm trying to tell you one thing, like I'm the parent.
Right, right.
And I think when we got towards the end,
Uh-huh.
that's when she was like, okay, well, I see what you're saying. So now
Oh,
it's like, okay, but you're leaving though, me. You're leaving.
right, right. Now
You're
you're
leaving.
getting, but now you're leaving.
Yeah, so then now it's a third therapist. So now with the third therapist, I'm like, listen, now I'm the advocate because I don't got time. I'm like, look, this is what I need. This is what's happening. You have to be a little bit more demanding. It's still nice,
Right.
but I had to really be a little bit more aggressive in the way
Yes.
that in my approach, because
Yes.
I didn't want another whole year to pass.
Right.
So now that we have the third therapist, I'm a little bit more, again, a little bit, just a little bit more aggressive with him, and again, in a nice way.
Oh,
And I'm like, look, he's been through this. This is what I have. I have a whole bunch of videos, so you can
right.
actually see. But again, he's 8 years old, and it's been really hard. We right now, again, I'm not an expert, but I'm
Right.
learning, and it's actually gotten a little worse on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
Like, I'm trying to speak about it without crying because
Yeah.
so it's been a
Take your
lot.
time.
So on Christmas Eve, he wound up going into the emergency room. And now, guys, like, on Christmas, that's the time where you're like, okay, look, you're trying to give your child everything. You're not
Yeah.
like, listen, even if it's giving them their way,
Yes.
you're like, okay, look, if you want to tear up the paper, go ahead and tear up the paper. But
Right.
don't, like, destroy it where you're hurting yourself, or you're
Right.
going to the window, or you're just where you just can't control yourself. It's like, okay, look, I just need you to calm down. Like, look, you want to have Christmas gifts. Like, go to
Yes.
bed. It's
Yes.
Christmas the next day. Like, that is
Yeah.
if I had to try anything, this is the time to just say, hey,
Uh-huh.
just stop doing what you're doing. You don't have to tear the place if you're mad about something,
Yes.
let's talk about it. Look, you want to have Christmas gifts in the
Oh,
morning.
yes.
But
Yes.
he could not control himself. And so on Christmas, pretty much the Christmas Eve, the Christmas Day, we
Uh-huh.
wound up staying in the hospital. And that was hard. That was
Wow.
hard. I mean, there's been a lot of hard times.
Yeah.
And even before that, it's always hard. The first time he went to the hospital,
Yeah.
that was hard because it felt like my child was, a mental patient. He's strapped, and
Oh,
we going, it's just a lot,
well, I know. I know it is. I know. I see it. I see it a lot, with, like I
Yeah.
said, with the parents that I work with, and there's a lot of places out there like JCCA and different homes, Four Winds, and everything like that, where parents have to put their children there for about a month, so that way they could get back on track. So I say that to say I wanted to know how was your support system as far as the school was concerned? Did they really give you enough support? And do they
um
still give you enough support?
well, the school is definitely a great support.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't know this because I worked there. Well, no, I'm not going to say that, because even before I started working there, I was like, this is a great school. And the
Okay.
principal, Dan, he's amazing. So everything that I've been going through, they know what's happening. The counselor,
Uh-huh.
and they told me about the mobile crisis team, like, if you need help, or especially when you're at home.
Yes.
So I called the mobile crisis team when I had to call, before I called the ambulance, because
Okay.
I was still trying to, like, okay, I don't, and that's another thing.
Right.
That's a whole nother story. When these parents, because it's not only myself going through this, you have other people that's going through this a whole lot, and
Yes.
they're suffering in silence.
Yes. Yes.
um
And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, because I wanted other people to know that there are parents all over the world that are dealing with mental health, and whether it be anxiety. I mean, there's a whole
yeah,
bunch of things that these children are going through. And I wanted other parents to know that, we want to give you resources and information on where you could go to get help. So I really appreciate you doing this.
yeah.
Hmm.
This, there was, on Facebook, there's a support group for parents with children that might be going through ODD. These are a lot of abbreviations, so you really have to look it up. ODD is oppositional defiance disorder.
Right.
That's what they thought my son was going through.
Uh-huh.
But he's not. Uh, he's definitely suffering with generalized anxiety disorder
Oh,
and also sensory processing disorder. That's SPD.
yes.
They are still trying to figure out whether he's on the spectrum.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of different things, so I don't want to. You really have to do your research because again, I came into it like, okay, I don't know all these things. What's ASD, autism
Right.
spectrum disorder?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Right.
So they abbreviate a lot.
Right. Absolutely. Trust me, I know. And
And
I'm still trying to get all the abbreviations.
yeah, so if you don't know and you're new and everybody keeps saying and they make you feel like, okay, maybe you should supposed to know some of these
Right. Yeah.
abbreviations. But
So,
no, I
wow.
didn't know. But I did look at a lot of YouTube videos because I had to learn. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
again, I went to the workshop. I'm trying to learn every little tiny thing. And
Absolutely.
what he's
So, so
I'm
Oh
sorry.
no, I was gonna ask you. So when you take them to the doctor for the first time, let's say when he was 4 or 5, and you're like, okay, I need to find out what's wrong with my child. Do they give you a questionnaire, or do they just sit there and ask you these questions about, okay, does your child do this? What does your child do? And do you have to give them, the information on paper stating what needs your child have or what issues they have?
Well, I mean, when he went to his pediatrician, they definitely wrote down a lot of things. But it's what's crazy again, when he went to his pediatrician, everyone was telling me nothing's wrong with my child.
Wow.
So, it's hard because again, when you see him,
Uh-huh.
you don't see any of these things. So when you see him, he's so athletic. He's such a joy to be around when he is good. He
Right.
does he's so great, but he has this energy that can be like, okay, look, if I'm mad, I'm mad. He becomes the
Right.
Hulk. Is you can't really calm it down. And when he went to, and I'm gonna tell you this is bad, but hey, I'm just gonna keep it open and being candid about it.
Mhm.
When we went to the doctor, he didn't want to go. I think he was around like again 3 years old,
Uh-huh.
4 years old. We went to the doctor, and this boy, and you think as your parent, you're like, okay, look, what am I doing? You always, well, for me, I
Yep.
don't know how
Oh,
everyone else does, but for me, I'm like, what am I doing that's wrong? How
right.
can I change it if I am doing anything wrong? Because I only want the best for my child.
Right. Right.
So this boy,
Oh gosh.
he winds up spitting on me,
Oh,
and we was in the hospital, I'm not used to this.
right.
Again, the way I was raised, you certain things you just don't do. You don't do it. Like I said, I'm
Right.
a 16-year-old. We don't do
Yeah.
things. Like, I don't know where you're getting it from. You're not gonna be looking at this. We're gonna talk about it, but certain
Right.
things you just don't do. So
Yeah, and that's one of
the
them,
boy
right?
spit at me, and my hand, I popped him. It was like a reaction,
Uh-huh.
and I popped him. I did pop him hard because his lip was bleeding, and it was just a reaction. It's bad.
Yeah.
And but he kept going. He wasn't a child that's just like, oh, I'm gonna stop.
Right.
Ooh, like
Right.
something happened. No, no, no. Not my child. No. What he did, more mad and fighting, and of course, then he peed on himself. But he still didn't stop.
Oh my
He
goodness.
didn't stop even after all of that. And like I said, when he was doing all this stuff, it scared me because first of all, I didn't want to lose my temper. So my whole thing, I
Right.
started holding him afterwards. But he didn't stop. And most of you, and that's telling me right there, you
Yeah.
can stop. But no, he didn't
Yeah.
stop at all. And then by him not calming down, his doctor came in and she
Oh.
seen it. And then she started saying, "Oh, I see what you're going through."
Uh-huh.
Um,
Finally.
a lot of times, and again, even with the pre-K, I'm like, listen, he's going through this. I am like dragging this boy
Yeah.
to go to school. He's taking off his shoes in the middle of the street. I gotta go to work. He's screaming. I told you he done ran in the street a couple of times. It's like,
Yeah.
what do you do?
Oh my
So
gosh.
with him, again, like I said, I started holding him because I didn't want to snap.
Yeah.
So, and then now that he is 8 years old,
Uh-huh.
which I didn't want to go through, because I felt like, okay, 2, you put a stop to it. Okay, 5, all right, now look, okay,
Right.
you're 8 years old, and I pretty much have like, I had 3 hernias, and I went from holding him down, trying to get him to just calm down and calm down. And even I just literally had surgery, and it's only been a month, and I'm still trying to find ways to and right now, again, because I'm going, I know it's a lot, but he's taking sertraline right now, so he is on medicine right now. I decided first I didn't want to do that. I was against medicine. That's another thing too.
Yes.
So there's a lot to talk about. I mean,
It is.
I didn't want to put him on medicine. I really didn't. That was again, that's why I was trying to do everything. I was trying to make sure I looked at the right foods and get him exercise.
Yes.
You know, my mother
to get that
mentioned
energy
that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But
and a lot of parents don't want to resort to medication because they say, oh, he's going to be in a zombie like state, or he's just not going to be his jolly self the way that he used to be. But sometimes it's good to calm them down a bit. They need it. They have an imbalance, so that medication is definitely causing a balance in their brain. It takes a little while for it to take effect. So how long has he been on it?
Okay, so for the past, I would say like 10, 11 months, we put him on the medical. But okay, so look, we started out 11 months, pretty much like 11 months ago. But he wasn't taking it consistently because, again, he didn't want to take the medicine. He was taking pills.
Right.
Then he didn't know how to put it down, so it wasn't working. Right. And then we tried the liquid, and that was still kind of a little hard, but then eventually he got used to it. So I would say with October, we're in February now, but October, he had 1 month. Mm-hmm. Now you guys know, since he was 2, for a whole month, he was great.
Wow.
A whole month. And then I told the therapist, I said, and the psychiatrist, I said, listen, it was sertraline. I said, and it didn't make him like a zombie.
Oh, great.
So I was proud of that because I didn't want him to lose his joy. Like,
right.
Great. I'm telling you, my baby is like
a pleasure.
Yes. So he didn't lose that. He looked like normal, like nothing, But a whole month he was great. And then after that, it was like a switch, maybe because he's growing. So sometimes they say, well, if he's, the body changes and then increase it. So after that, here we are, from pretty much from November 14th, all the way to now.
Wow.
We have been
up and down, up and down.
Yeah.
So did they increase his dosage or anything like that? Because
they increased the dosage, but sometimes they said that it takes like 4 to 6 weeks also to
get into his system.
Yeah. So when you're going through this, you're going through the storm.
Yes.
So this is not, and you also have to remember that as you're going through all these things, you still have to find a way to get therapy for yourself. Out of everything, you need therapy for yourself.
And I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to ask you about that. Like, do you get therapy for your own self?
So let me tell you this. In the beginning, when we was going through this, I had my therapist. Okay. And I'm going to say this because I love that therapist. Her name was Flavia. I forgot her last name. She was at the Jewish Heart, not Jewish Harlem. Yeah. No, sorry. She was at the Roberto Clemente.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on in Manhattan on 13th Street. But she was great.
Uh,
Okay. But as you know, when you doing therapy, like,
yeah.
okay, you tell your deepest, darkest secrets, and then you get
Oh, you sure do.
yes, and they get it out of you because let me tell you, and I told her this. I
Mhm.
said when I first I don't like to judge, but I was judging when I because I
Yeah.
already had therapy. I was already again you switch therapists. So when I
Uh-huh.
had her, I was kind of like I don't want to go through this again. Like
Right.
like I don't even really want to talk to her. I'm gonna just be here because I know I need a little bit of it.
Uh-huh.
So she comes on, not comes, but she speaks to me, and I'm
Uh-huh.
kind of like, and like, okay, let me
Yep.
see what this lady is about. But
Yeah.
as I start speaking, I
Uh-huh.
noticed this that she's actually really listening to me. But that's what they're supposed to do anyway. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
some
some
of
of
them
them
seem
seem
like
like
they're
they
not
not
listening.
listening.
Yeah, but she's good because she's
Yeah.
listening to every little thing I'm saying, and I'm like, oh, this lady is great. But
Okay.
as I'm telling her every little thing about me,
Uh,
it's inside. I don't even tell sometimes my best friend. And
yes.
I'm telling her, and then all of a sudden she wanna leave me in a gear, and then you
Oh,
cry a little. I mean, but I
yes.
feel I understand why they don't want certain numbers because if you get somebody that might be crazy, they might get a little attached,
Yes,
Because
I understand.
I got a little attached. I get a little attached. I'm telling you my deepest, darkest secrets. I'm
Yeah.
feeling everything,
Oh,
and then you just leave.
right. That's hurt. That's
So,
hurtful.
so when you go into like, if you have a therapist and you have to still kind of tell yourself like, look, okay,
Hmm.
tell yourself like, okay, you're telling all these, but you got to understand that they might leave and just get
Right.
it out for the moment. Don't get attached.
Right. Just get it out.
Yeah, just get it out and just remember like, okay, they want to leave. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but she was really good and you need it. But what happened was that month,
Hmm.
October, good for a month. And
Oh,
maybe it didn't seem for me, it felt great. It didn't seem like you usually should like at least wait 6 months to a year or what well, a
right.
year. But I have to remember from 2 years old
Yep.
to 8, and I get a month
Oh,
that's no extremes. I mean, we still have different levels. Again, kids are gonna be kids, and then you have the extra.
right.
But a whole month, I was like, listen, okay, I can go to work. All right,
Uh-huh.
because I work at the school. I'm not gonna have any problem. I'm gonna get back into my acting. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm gonna do me like I've been doing me. But
Yes.
no, that did not work. I mean,
Oh,
after a month because I had a lot of I was again, I do the acting and things was coming and I had to turn it down. So that's hard. You
yes.
turn it down. And then working. It's like
Yeah. How do
how do
you
you
manage? Yes.
like and no and they're not going to tell you about but I'm going to tell you guys now like if you want you have to in this right here you have to be a little aggressive. I have to be aggressive and I have to that's with everything with myself and for him
Yeah.
um because a lot of things are not going to be out in the open. You
Right.
have to find these programs for some apparent reason. They won't tell you like, oh, okay, you can give this or you can give that. So you
Hmm.
have to like, it's like you have to dig and you have to ask and you have to figure out like, okay, well, you should have to be really like aggressive.
Yes.
And I always say in a good way. Um, it's a lot.
Wow. I agree. I'm sorry. Just like you said, you have to be aggressive with this because they're not going to just come out and tell you, about all these services. So if we could watch TV and see like 20 different peanut butter commercials, why can't we see 20 different commercials to point us in the right direction as far as mental health is concerned, anxiety disorders, or anything that the youth or the adults are going through? We need to have 20 commercials back to back about these services
Yes.
that are being offered. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, things are coming out now and people are speaking about it.
right?
And in our culture, they don't really want to talk about it. And again, like I said, when I was going through the stuff with my son, it was just like, listen, look, if he ain't listening, look, whoop his behind. Or if he's
Hmm.
not listening, like something's wrong. And then you get to some people, you got to be careful with. They'll say, oh, you know, go to church, and nothing against church, but it's like, okay, look, they'll say, well, maybe you gotta be careful, people. They'll say, oh, maybe you're a demon, and he got demon. And you're like, okay,
Right.
I'm gonna keep trying some other ways. I can't put that in my head or believe that, but whatever.
Right. And there's a lot of parents, Chanel, that are going through, you know, a child that's like going crazy at, you know, not crazy as far as in their brain, but just tearing up the place and
you're
breaking up
going
the
through
house,
it,
and they don't even know what it is. They think that their child is just bad, so therefore they beat them, and you know, and they just don't know. I'm so happy you're telling them about these. Yeah,
it's a lot. If you only knew, if you could only look. And let me tell you, you're going to get a lot of people, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this because I'm going through a whole lot. And, you know, I just want whoever, because again, you get really, 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 you can be depressed. You can get really depressed off of it. And I just hope people understand that there's a lot of judgment. And I get it. You know, again, I was on the other side. I have a 16-year-old, and I never even dealt with this. I used to be like, listen, again, coming from my culture, my community, I'm like, listen, if your child is acting up, I remember going into a barbershop and I saw this child, and he hit his mother.
Wow.
Before I had my little one, I was like, listen, don't you hit your mother. Not
Right.
realizing that he probably had other issues going on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I was that parent.
Wow.
And you know, now I'm on the other side, and I feel like there's a lot of, you know, a whole lot of judgment. People don't understand. They don't understand because if they're not into it, they just think like, okay, you have, and again, with our culture, they'll say like, and not to be racist or anything like that, but they'll say like, if there's, again, with our community, they don't want to talk about mental illness, but they'll blame, or they'll say, okay, a white person, they'll with their child, or that child, oh yeah, that child got for a white kid, that child got mental issues, and oh yeah, or my child is never going to act like that, you know, like, but the crazy part, you might see me with my child on the same video that you see some of these other children, and my child, let me tell you, if you only knew, my child, I've been in a mall, and my child was acting up, and I'm wrestling on the floor with him, or literally, because he's strong. You would think
they say,
a kid, you know, having that amount of strength, it is hard. And you're holding him down. And I was in the mall, and you know how it's a whole bunch of the perfumes and the place over. You don't want him to break anything, so you're holding him down. I'm wrestling with him. It's probably on video somewhere.
Wow.
You know, it's all the stuff that I have been through. And again, I love my son to death. You know, but again, you know, as parents, you need the support. We need help.
You need that support. So what are some of the things that you do, like with Sincere, in order for him to calm down? I know it's hard to answer that, but do you paint? Do you, I mean, what kind of therapies do you do at home to help him calm down a little bit?
Okay, so let me tell you, with the medicine, because you know, again, I think that, you know, he needs some of the medicine. We do a whole bunch of things. I mean, right now we've been trying to do, like, I have the sensory. It's a tent, but I call it the sensory tent because, again, Sincere suffers with generalized anxiety disorder, and he also suffers with sensory processing disorder. That's SPD. Sorry.
Yes.
So certain touch and feels, like he has. I wound up getting a puppy. So when he was going through this, we have a puppy, and he winds up, just every time he's upset, he's like rubbing the puppy. Like fur is on his face. He's constantly rubbing and rubbing. So we have him as an emotional support dog. Only thing that sometimes if he's a little rough, I got to take him away, and then sometimes that's even more. But a lot of times it does help. We have the tent, which is like, I made it into a sensory tent. So I put the fur, and we put the lights, and
Oh,
that's like supposed to be the calming spot. And like,
yeah.
okay, go over there. But the tent is broken down.
Oh,
But
oh
listen, it
no.
works sometimes. It works sometimes. It's not
Yeah.
all the time. It's not gonna be perfect every day.
Right.
Um, of course, the main stuff. I think you do that with any kid: the drawing and the
Yeah.
paint and the reward system
Yeah.
and um what I used to do is always try to make up different games. He has to have exercise, like
Oh,
the energy. You know, kids that suffer with ADHD, their
yeah.
energy is off the wall.
Yes.
So his exercise, I skate. He skates in the house. You know,
Okay.
but that's why he's so athletic. He can flip and do skates and stuff, and
Wow.
he could do a split. He's gonna be a gladiator because that's how impulsive he
Yeah.
is. And you try to use his the even when it's weak, you try to use those weak talents and make it into great talents.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
I think once Sincere learns how to calm down, uh, he's gonna be like exceptional,
A
like to
great
the point
kid,
of
right?
like he's gonna be up there, and he's again athletic. But he has to learn how to calm down.
Yeah.
Um, again, everything works for each child. I'm still learning.
Right.
Like I said, you have to have that support group thing because again, since 8 years old, like I said, I think I had to leave. I'm at where I'm at right now. I had to lock my doors because he destroys everything. So in my room, since the last week incident we had, he wound up throwing crumbs and smeared the jelly and the peanut butter all on the walls. This was something new. He never used to smear it, but it's like, what's going on through your mind?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Again, it's like, what's happening here?
Yes.
Um,
I have a
but it
youth
was it was
and
it was really really bad, and
yeah.
for you to smear and then you to literally throw something at me and
Right.
just look like you could keep doing that. So my brain is like, oh boy, let me walk away. Let
Yeah.
me leave because I see red right now because
Right.
you're not respecting me and I don't want to hurt you. So
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away.
And that's a good thing that you do because a lot of parents don't do that and they can't do that.
Yeah.
So for you to understand that, yeah, is a period where I need to get out of this space and
Yeah.
leave you alone.
I,
Very good.
I had to because I don't want to snap.
Yeah.
I don't want to snap. I
Hmm.
don't want to snap. And it's sad because you might have, you know, you don't know what people are going through. Like you
Right.
see these people snapping on their kids, and we can call them murderers, we can call them whatever the case may be. No, that's your child. I would never feel like, but at the same time,
Right.
the anger, if you go through that again, I'm telling you, I'm going through stuff for years, and you still trying to keep
Yeah.
yourself sane and
Hmm.
I feel like I'm going through again, you gotta have your own therapy. I feel like I'm bipolar. I'm up and down.
Right.
Yesterday, I didn't if you didn't know, I've been crying my eyes out, trying to just to deal with it and say, why are we going through this all day? Because you're irritable. What's happening? Why
Right.
can't we just enjoy the day? But then, once you have that day, the good little parts, you can't stay in it. So then
Right.
you're okay. Well, let's play a game. Like, okay, let's talk about the feelings, no matter what you're feeling,
Right.
because you got to get over it. You can't stay
Yes.
stuck in that. But then you are kind of going crazy a little,
Yeah.
and you have to. You, you just got to be strong, and you got to definitely have a support system
Hmm. And
because
I
I
was going to
think,
ask about your support system. Your family is very supportive, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, again, that's kind of hard. That's a thin line. Like my family's been there in terms of supporting,
Mhm.
in terms of like, okay, if you're okay, make sure you're okay.
Right.
But remember, if you're going through something every single day, your family, they're gonna have their own judgment. They're gonna say you're spoiling your child, da da
Yeah.
da, and then you're gonna feel worse as a parent. And then you're gonna
True.
have some people that might say, you know what? Well, if he acts good in school, and let me tell you this too, also, if you're acting good in school,
Oh.
the psychology of that, the children, because a lot of people don't know that. I had to learn that. I'm like, well, why is he good certain times and he's great and he's not acting? And what's happening to me? What am I doing?
Right.
I'm great. Even as a I'm like, wait a minute. I help these other kids at school. They love me.
Right, right,
I do, but you can't social work your own child, which I
right.
had to
Sure can.
learn. But some kids, they say their emotions, they won't show all that. They do it with the person they feel most comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they hold all of that. So with even with sincere, like a lot, okay, because he wasn't going to school. So a lot of times, like remember I told you in the beginning, he
Mm-hmm.
used to act up. So the teacher, they would see that in the
Right.
beginning a day of school. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm keeping him home, because again, it takes 2 to 3 hours to regulate him.
Right.
So they won't see certain things. But if I kept him and we doing every day, you're going to start seeing things eventually. But even
Mm-hmm.
then, you still got to be careful because the psychology of the child, most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
just a normal child, they're
Right.
not going to be the same way they are like how they might be in school. You might get
Yep.
the opposite. It's really who they feel most comfortable with. They let out
Mm-hmm.
all these emotions. It's like, okay, for instance, like if you think about yourself
Right.
and you say, okay, you're going through all these different emotions, something might have happened at work. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
go crazy and show everything. Somebody
True.
made you mad at work. You're not going to do that. What you're going to do probably, if you don't know how to control it, you're going to take it out on that person that you come home to, your spouse or somebody. And you're like,
Yeah.
what's wrong? Why are you giving me this treatment?
Right. Right.
How you treating them nice at work?
Yep. And
So
then you come home and let it all out.
yes, yes. So a child that does not know or even know how to control the emotion, they're just like
They
everything is
all
over the
over the
place.
place.
All over. So
Wow.
it's and again with the support system, you have to have, like I said, my family's been there. They're starting to see things now, and I'm glad that they see it. But it's hard because when you're going through it again, I hate to admit it because of what I'm going through. I have felt suicidal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a hard thing to kind of like put and actually say, but it's the truth. And it's if I
Yeah.
didn't have like my girlfriend, like Irene, she's to say something to complain to somebody every day
Right.
and to complain about the same thing and the same thing. No, a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't
Right.
want to hear it.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not so much that they're being mean, but they
Right.
don't. It gets tiring for them too. So,
Yeah.
but you don't know. Like I thank God for her because I called her. I think out of every time I was upset, I called this girl all the time.
Wow.
But now we can laugh about it. I'm like, yeah, I just want to vent because I'm going through all this stuff and I
Right.
don't understand and to have her still listen and be
Yeah.
like, it's okay, you're not bothering, even though you didn't call me 50, 80, 100 times.
Right.
And
Right.
you need it because you don't know what's the time. There were times like, oh, I don't want to call her, but then you don't know how to get it out either. So
Right.
you thinking about all of this, and then you feel like, well, if I don't speak to nobody, I don't want to be here.
Right. Right.
And that's a scary place. And you
Yeah.
don't know when that person, it can be probably a good time because they might just get tired and they might feel like, okay, well, they just might not be feeling like they're doing the best, even though they're trying to do the best.
Yeah.
And you don't want that time to be their last time. And that's why you probably have um, so much of suicide, and you
Mhm.
have to get the help. And I have to be, I think what keeps me is like, but it's hard. It's like, okay, I'm
It
going to
is.
be here to advocate for you because nobody else ain't going to, they're not going to,
Right.
even his father is great and he tries the best way he can, but he's not going to go to these classes. He's not going to understand. He's not going to take the patience. He's not going to
Yeah.
try
And a
to,
mama knows. You know.
so if
Yeah.
I'm not here, what he's going to do? Go into the system? He's going to end up in jail? No. So I
Right.
have, and that's another thing. See, there's a whole bunch of things with that too. As a black
Mm-hmm.
mother, we feel like it's so many different things. Again, with sincere, I went through so much. It's
Yeah.
like when that's another thing. His anxiety. This was I would say
Wow.
like maybe 2 years ago. We out in the street. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
again, we out in the street. Since sincere, he's going through his emotions. He didn't want to go upstairs. And after an hour being in the car, nice and calm and figure out ways, well, how about we go and do this here? But let's go upstairs because you got pee on you because you're crying in the car because you're upset and you're not getting your way. And it's like, but you got peeing yourself, so let's go upstairs and let's get you in the car. We can't stay in the car for a whole hour. So then you get to a point where it's like, okay, get out the car. Like,
Yes.
So basically, when literally after the whole hour of trying to find ways for him to get out the car,
yeah,
just to go upstairs, there's nothing to be scared about. This is normal things. So then finally, his father is just like, okay, you know what? That's it. Get out the car. Now his aggressiveness, even though he was all nice, so you can't really blame that.
Right.
He's a big black guy. He's dark skinned. You know, he's big. So now we're in a neighborhood where it's like predominantly, you know, Caucasian is not our culture. I mean, our excuse me, not culture, excuse me. So he's in the car and we're out in the street. And now, okay, he's pulling Sincere, but I'm frustrated because remember, this is a whole hour.
Right.
So I'm just tired. I'm frustrated. So now I'm in the car, like he ain't listening. And he's like, look, let me handle this. Let me handle it. Let me handle it. You know. So now this is big, you know.
Yes.
Now he's pulling him. So now that he's pulling him, and now he's screaming, "You're killing me! You're killing me!" All these words, okay. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
My
so
God.
You feel sad. This is all the stuff. So it's like, all right, just leave him. Just leave him. So we sit back. But it's taking too long because we can't get out the car.
Wow.
And then he goes again, like, you know what? That's enough. That's enough. You're getting out the car. So he pulls him out the car, this boy is not getting out the car. So now I'm just like, now I get out the car. I am like overly to the extreme again. Just leave him. Now I'm crying. Just leave him alone. Just forget it. Just forget it. He don't want to get out the car because I'm tired of this. It ain't working. Nothing we doing is working right now. So I get to the you know, the front of the car and I just kind of lean on it because I'm frustrated. So I lean. The next thing you know, the way our street, the cars come. Okay, I don't know if you can see this on here. But anyways, the cars is going down this way. All I see is the police coming in front this way, the car. Now, you know, that's something big. They're not even coming down. They're coming on the opposite end. So, you know, like, so now I'm crying. Now I'm crying even more because I know it's for us. There's no way they would just come like that. They coming. The car's going this way. We park this way, and they going this way. All I do is start. So they like, is everything okay? I'm like, now I'm even more. I can't even take the So now they probably thinking I'm getting abused. Because I can't say. I'm just like, he got mental. I don't know. I'm just seeing a therapist. I don't know. He just,
my God.
Nobody ain't killing him. We just trying to bring him upstairs. And he's like, but thank God they were nice.
Thank God.
And I'm telling them, but I think they still was a little concerned. Again, which if it was me and I seen somebody pulling and he like the kid is like, you killing me, I'm gonna say, yeah, something else is going on. Like, what's happening? So they come, we talk, and I tell them, but it's still a little scary because it's just scary. You know, you don't want the cops to come. You don't want nothing to happen. First of all, he's 8 years old. And then I have to think about whether, first of all, I have to think, first, it's scary already itself. I have to think about the future. And then I have to think about my child's father and think about how he's dealing with him by himself. Because if I'm not there to even, what if I wasn't there? What if it's at nighttime? You would have thought, something happened. It's a big black man, whatever case, even if it's a person of color. I'm just saying, but I'm just saying his features just a little bit more. They're going to be like, they're going to say like, okay, something's wrong. They're not going to understand, you know, and you don't want no guns coming out or whatever the case may be. So now I'm thinking, which I was already thinking way before that, as a child, as a person of color, I don't even want my child at this age going through something, because even if we don't handle this when he gets older, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to my child? They're not going to understand that this boy has some other things going on with him. They don't care whether he has a disability. All they're going to see is that there's this black man. They're not going to even look at him as a child. They're not going to look at him as a child. They're going to say this black young man, and he's a threat. They're not going to say, oh, he has a problem, he's going through this
Right.
stuff. They're going to pull out their guns and they shoot first, ask questions later.
Right.
And I hate to say it, and it's bad, but it's the reality. Because if there was a Caucasian child or whatever, they would ask what's wrong. Is it okay? They wouldn't be so quick to pull out their guns. So it's a little, it's something that we have to worry about. And it's something that they need to, something has to be done. Yeah. And I'm not just saying it for a person of color. I'm just saying it's a little bit harder. Yeah. Something has to be done. I think they need to come up with something in terms of like, you even with the police, they have to what they should do. They should at least have like a task force, someone that's a police officer, but also knows how to, a team that knows how to deal with mental illness. So if you have a person, a psychiatrist, but they're also a police officer, so they're coming like a police officer is coming like undercover, but they're a psychiatrist, but they're a police officer. So a psychiatrist and a police officer together, but they're coming undercover. Yeah. And then as a backup, you have the uniformed police come. Right. But you also need to have, they also need to be police officers, because again, you do have people that have mental illness, and they could get very violent, and you have to protect yourself. That's
and they're very strong, like you said.
Yes. But you also need to have people that understand. So if you're a psychiatrist and you're a police officer, you're going to think like, okay, let me think first. Let me not pull out a gun. Let me try to escalate the problem. Right. So with being a psychiatrist, you're going to be trained at least that much. Yes. As a regular police officer, you're not going to be trained that, well, you're not going to be trained as much. You might do a little bit of training, but it's not going to be that extensive.
Absolutely. I agree.
I mean, I was a hospital police officer, and we had to deal, and it's crazy because before I'm a child, I used to work at Bellevue Hospital. I did that for 8 years. Yeah. And we dealt with, CPAP. I've seen a lot of Bellevue. So if you know Bellevue is known for mental,
Yes, mental health. Yes. People with mental health, yeah.
And I've seen a lot. I mean, I never thought my child was gonna go through this stuff, So that's a little scary. That's when I said it brings back all the memories, even the things that I've seen as a hospital. They strap them down, and it's like, oh, my child is being, strapped. So,
I'm glad that you said that, and it's true. Now we have Mayor Adams. He is definitely attacking mental health, the individuals that's on a train, individuals that's in the street, and a different way of approaching mental health, adults and youth. Yeah. And I'm so happy, Chanel, that you gave us this opportunity to, look into your life a little bit and, get a feel for what it is to be like a parent dealing with these issues with the youth. And I'm glad that you gave us so many different outlets and advice and some tips. And people now will have, at the end of this segment, in the description below, we're going to have a lot of the resources that Chanel gave to us. And we hope that everybody pays attention now to mental health, and not just thinking that the youth are bad or the adults are bad, or anything like that. So I thank you so much for shedding some light on this topic, and this is not going to be the last. I know that I'm going to want to speak with you again about this, because it's an ongoing thing in your life. It's not like once we end this, it's gonna stop. So I appreciate you so much, and I will be putting the resources below.
Thank you so much. We definitely need to do that. Thank you, especially with the pandemic too. So
absolutely, we know that caused everybody to go a little bonkers, and then for you to have to deal with the youth with mental health and stay at home. So we applaud you for being the mom that you are, and for having the patience. We know it's not hard, but thank you again.
Thank you for having me. I really
thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any resources, comments, or suggestions, please feel free to comment, and don't forget to subscribe and give us a little bit of support, and we'll support you as well. Thank you so much.